Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, many guests, and viewers at home. My name is Art Atkinson. I am Acting Sergeant at Arms for Golden Speakers Toastmasters of Fairfield, Iowa. We are conducting our first meeting in our new glorious digs at the Hy-Vee Club Room. We meet every Tuesday evening here at 7:40 p.m. in the club room at Hy-Vee on the west wall of the Hy-Vee building. Please join me in welcoming to the lectern our President, Rhonda Whitaker.
Thank you, Art. Art is our Toastmaster of the evening. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, distinguished guests, and viewers at home, welcome to our very first meeting here. We're very excited to have this opportunity. I'd like to point out that Hy-Vee does have a corporate club, and they know the value of educating their employees to become leaders and communicators. They have given us a special opportunity to be here for that very reason. So I'd like everyone to take a moment now and think of something you would like to accomplish in your speaking or in your leadership in the next 6 months. We're all going to take 10 seconds and make a wish. Let's close our eyes and smile. Okay, very good. Now let's give ourselves a hand and support everybody. You may wonder what else we do here besides clap. Our mission is to provide a positive and supportive learning environment in which every individual has the opportunity to learn communication and leadership skills, which in turn builds self-confidence and personal growth. Yay. There are 4 values that Toastmasters International promotes. They are integrity, respect, excellence, and service. That is something that we are all in pursuit of when we join this club. It takes commitment and it takes ability to listen and learn. Now I would like to turn the meeting over to our Toastmaster, Art Atkinson.
Thank you, Rhonda. In my role as Toastmaster, I am a conductor who works to keep the meeting on track, keeping to the agenda times. We have a number of role players who will assist me in running this meeting so that it moves right along and that we cover all the bases. I'd like to introduce those role players. Let me begin with our timer for the evening, Mr. Dan Craig, if you would explain what you'll be doing.
My job as timer is to keep track of all the presentations that occur. The first thing that is out in the meeting is table topics that student writing a speech. Those are 1 to 2 minutes. The green light is turned on at 1 minute. The yellow light is turned on at 1 minute 30 seconds. And the red light is turned on at 2 minutes, remains on until the end of the speech. If someone's in a table topics or a prepared speech goes more than 30 seconds over, then I will lead the applause in thanking you for the presentation, asking you to sit down. Prepared speeches are usually 5 to 7 minutes. The green light is turned on at 5 minutes, the yellow light at 6, the red light at 7, remains on to the end of the speech. We have a longer talk tonight, and it's 10 to 12 minutes, so it's 10, 11, 12. Finally, evaluations are 3 minutes. The green light's turned on at 2 minutes, the yellow light at 2 minutes 30 seconds, the red light at 3 minutes remains on until the end. I'll give a report of the times at the end of the meeting.
Thank you, Dan. The next role player I'd like to introduce is Mr. Scott Terry, who will be our op counter this evening. Please explain what you'll be doing, Scott.
I will be tracking and acting as your external reference so that you could more self-regulate your own speaking patterns. I will be looking at certain parameters such as like, you know, so, but, and, unclick, pause, a Xerox or repeating, and a false start. I'll look at certain parameters so you could learn how to better regulate your own speaking. This is not negative or criticism, it's simply a way for us to track how we're communicating so we can communicate better.
Great.
We also have a grammarian, Stephanie Chambers, who will now explain to us what her role is.
Yo!
So part of my job as grammarian is to keep track of uses of the word of the day. And today's word of the day is bearing. It was inspired by our new direction in our moving here. So it's a noun. The way in which it has lots of different meanings. So one of them is the way in which a person moves, stands, or behaves, a relation or connection, a machine part, the situation or horizontal direction of one point with respect to another or to the compass. For example, we found our bearings in our new Toastmasters location. So I'll be keeping track when you use that, how many people use that word tonight. And I'll also be listening to the language used by people during their speeches, and I'll make note of any exceptionally good or incorrect uses of language, and I'll give a report at the end.
Thank you, Stephanie. We will have an evaluation section of the meeting, and our general evaluator, who will take over later on, is Karen Aoki. We will have our greeter will also provide us a joke as the joke master. Mr. Ed Hep will be coming up later on in the meeting. Now we have a section of impromptu speeches that we call table topics. Our table topics master for the section is Mr. Surya Zeeb. I'd like to welcome him to the lectern.
Thank you, Art. Tonight it is my esteemed pleasure to be the Table Topics Master and guide the impromptu speeches. Please note that when you come up here and are selected as an impromptu speaker, before you speak you get 30 seconds to, or 30 seconds to decide. 30 minutes, no. 30 seconds to decide whether, you get 30 seconds to think about the topic you want to speak. There you go. All right. So, do we have any volunteers? Table topics. That gentleman there. Nelson.
Yes.
Pick a number between 1 and 4.
1.
Nelson, what new direction would you like to take in life? Ah!
Bear in mind, in every moment, there's an opportunity. And right now, this is my opportunity. To not just shine, but to tell you, what is my life? Where is my direction? And what am I going to become? It's so important to know these things and the qualities, the principles that make me shine. This is my direction. So let me invite you into my world, into the happenings, to untangle the phenomenon of me. So it begins in the Bronx. This is a personal story, but it's true. And I grew up in the Bronx back in 1985. My mom was an immigrant from Honduras, and she came because she was actually a fugitive in her own country. She was providing services for people in her land, and she was tortured. Sad to say, but it's true. And so she needed to leave, and so she did. And she met my father at a church, and he was very nice, but not a good man. Fast forward, I lived a very ambitious life, and I learned a lot. But the child that I was growing up was full of energy and excitement. I've always wanted to go outside, and I've always had this idea of nature in my mind. Yet, there wasn't much nature in the Bronx. There was very little of it. And the pictures that I have in my mind are trees being chained up to the floor, surrounded by big bricks. What image is that of nature for a child? Not very much. But I had high expectations, high inspirations, and I slowly started to observe what was happening in my neighborhood and realized I needed to go somewhere else. So I came here to Fairfield, Iowa.
Okay. That was nice. Nelson. Anybody else? Gentleman green. Well, they're both in green, but the light green. What's your name, sir?
Veda.
Veda?
Veda.
Veda. Ah! Veda. Please pick a number between 2 and 4.
3.
No, 2 and 4.
3.
3, okay. 30 is not in there. Okay, good, all right. Did you take a new direction at one point, and did it lead you to an unexpected experience?
Yes, sir.
Tell us about it.
I'm here to take you down a little memory lane. About 25 years ago, I was fed up. I had lived in Massachusetts where I grew up, and then I moved to Washington, D.C., and things were not clicking. So I knew I needed to make a change. And so I set out for Fairfield, Iowa. I was studying in school, and I'd already been involved in something called Toastmasters. And I knew the educational opportunity and growth that I could achieve there. And with my spouse at the time, I came in and visited. And that was 25 years ago. That was the first year that Toastmasters Golden Speakers Club was in Fairfield, Iowa. I don't know if anybody else in this room was there 25 years ago, but I was. I wasn't the first member. I was in about 6 months. There were some notable members like Ed Freese and Michael Mendoza, who led the club to be one of the most successful clubs in the state of Iowa, and I would say, in the years since, one of the most successful clubs in the country, comparing only against clubs that were started in the 1920s and 1930s, one of which I was in Cambridge, Massachusetts, the John Alden Club, that went back to, I think, 1923. But they didn't have the spirit that we have in Fairfield. They didn't have the turnover either. I remember going way back in the bowels of the Fairfield Telephone Company. It was light green, maybe yellow, but it was very technical feeling. It was very scientific. It was Donatech. It was scientists and engineers. But soon we moved out to the church. And it was like a little schoolroom. And then I remember years later we moved to the other church. The DeCourcy Hall was the first place. And I can tell you over the years it just seems like it's improved and improved and improved, like each stage of growth, and a new and more vibrant atmosphere. And that's why I came tonight, to see the new state of affairs, get my bearings, and come and all welcome you to enjoy like I did when I made my new direction 25 years ago.
We have time for another one? Fantastic. You, sir, please. Number 2 or 4? 2. Which new direction would you like to travel to and why? Which new direction would you like to travel to and why?
In life, there are countless of directions in which a person can get him or herself into. However, we must be wise in order to know if we are to take this choice, or that choice over there, over here. I feel that it is important for us to keep in mind all the different choices and opportunities that we have in our day-to-day basis, and able to know that that which resonates with our heart, our mind, and our body is that which we should probably go into and go there and experience and feel out for ourselves instead of just taking somebody else's word for it as to what it is that we should go and become. So I believe that it's more so a self-referral experience to know which direction. So to me, it's not a definite thing that I want to go, but rather a direction in which I can be fulfilled, a direction in which I can expand my horizons and be a happy person, a person that can inspire other people. And it's not so much about the thing that you get, but rather the person who you become through those things. And it is always important to have bearings with other individuals and other places, as for you to be able to have some sort of bank of favors that you can rely on. I believe that it's actually even more powerful than the money, or just as powerful, because it allows you to go from one place to another, exchanging things, just the way that we used to do it way back in the past. And I feel that it's a good way to reincorporate it for you. No matter where you go, you're going to find that, and it's going to be able to provide you with that hope to keep following your dreams and be a better person and be happy and make others happy.
Beautiful. One more? All right. We have another volunteer. Yes, please. Tell us about an experience of going beyond your comfort zone and how you grew from that.
Toastmasters and friends and viewers at home. Ed McMahon, some of you know, who are old like me. I'm not old, I mean, come on. Ed McMahon was the sidekick of Johnny Carson. He once said that he never got over being nervous in public, just like I feel right now in front of you. He said what he learned to do was to get his butterflies in his stomach to fly in formation. So that's what my mission is. You asked for a time when I felt some discomfort. What did I do about it? I chose to come to Toastmasters and face my discomfort. So here I am. I was here a couple of times in the past, and I learned that in getting my bearings to how to give a good talk, I learned that it's not useful to stand in one place. One should move around and engage with the audience. I've never done that before. So this also is going out of my comfort zone. I had learned in the past to stand in one place and own this space and give a talk, leave out the ums and uhs and so forth. And that was fairly successful experience. To move around, though, is way out of my comfort zone. Let me try to do that and see how it feels. Luis? Good job on your talk tonight. Nelson, Good job on yours. I think that my time is just about elapsed, so I just want to say I'm happy to be here. It's a great place to work on oneself and move out of one's comfort zone until it becomes a little bit more comforting. And thanks for the opportunity to practice.
Just state your name real quick.
John Miller.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Okay. Yes, we're done with the table topics section of the evening, and now we get to the voting of the best table topic.
We've got 3 qualifiers: Nelson, Luis, and John.
So please vote for either Nelson, Luis, or John. Thank you. Okay, next up, we will have the evaluation of the table topics. And so I'd like to invite up Diane Denbaum to evaluate the table topics.
Good evening, everyone. Great big group of people. I'm going to say to 3 of you, Nelson, Veda, and Luis, just a quick comment that you want to greet your audience. I'm not even sure where you are. John remembered. It was very important. You all opened up with incredible beginnings, but just greet us is all I have to comment on. So very quickly, Nelson, I loved your opening. I loved how you invited us in. Where's Nelson? There you are. I love how you invited us in. You kept saying, I want to invite you in. So I liked that. I liked your use of story. And then my only recommendation was to greet us. And somewhere in there, I felt like use that simple formula, because it works for a lot of brain types, where you tell us a little bit about what you're going to tell us. You invited us in, but tell us, and then tell us, and then wrap it up. That would be a recommendation for you, because you're a great storyteller. And the imagery of the Bronx and leaving the Bronx. And noticing the gasp at the end of the speech. You left people with a feeling, which is very powerful. Veda? Where's Veda? Oh, well, thank you. I just want to thank you for the story. I mean, you were here 25 years ago. I didn't know who you were. It was great. I wouldn't have guessed that, so thank you. And you did tell us what you were going to tell us, and I just was right with you for the speech, so that was a powerful use of that tool. I suppose I would say to you, because you're an experienced Toastmaster, would be somewhere in there to come out and maybe gesture, something like that. Then Luis, thank you though. Luis, again, I give you credit for a profound opening. That's what struck me. You did come out. Where's Luis? I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Yeah, here we are. Eye contact, who are you talking to? You had gestures. Here's my suggestion for you. You're a great storyteller, and I know I get the sense there's a lot in there. I would like to have seen a little bit of, you had a lot of teaching points there, and I would have liked to have seen a story about how you learned some of the things that you were telling us about. Maybe break it down and share a point you learned, a story, and a point. So I'd like to see how you came to these conclusions that you did about life. So thank you for sharing those stories too. And you kept with the theme. And then John, well, I wrote down, yay, you greeted us. Small point, but that's what we do here. And you were just so real and honest, and just, I think you made us all feel comfortable by admitting that you're nervous, and the quote of McMahon, and turning those nervousness to butterflies. I know who McMahon is, so that was fun. Yeah, just the realness is what struck me. And my suggestion for you would be maybe next time come out and bust through that gesture thing, or some big loud noise, or something like that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Diane. That wraps up the impromptus portion of our evening. we'll move on now to prepared speeches. This meeting has a theme that our Table Topics Master adhered to very nicely with the questions, as a new direction. And a quote from Tolkien, "Not everyone who wanders is lost." Wandering in this goal-oriented culture doesn't have very high marks, but we wouldn't have the word wanderlust if it weren't a recognized feature of human nature, at least for some people sometimes. In fact, there are whole groups of people who promote from within those who have the wanderlust and take advantage of it. We now move on to prepared speeches. Here to introduce the objectives for our next speaker is Surya, our speaker's evaluator. Jyoti Raj will be speaking. Surya will introduce the objectives.
Okay. The speaker that I will be evaluating tonight is called Jyoti Raj. Jyoti has been a member of Golden Speakers Club since 2010. Jyoti is an MEM graduate, and he works in town. He's redoing his Competent Communicator Manual, this one here, and this evening he is giving his fourth speech, How to Say It. The title of this speech is Ingredients of a Good Speech, and the objectives are: select the right words and sentence structure to communicate your ideas clearly, accurately, and vividly. Use rhetoric devices and enhance and emphasize ideas. Eliminate jargon and unnecessary words. Use correct grammar. The speech will be 5 to 7 minutes.
Fellow Toastmasters, guests, and viewers at home. Today I'm going to talk about the ingredients of a good speech. Let me know how many of you want to be a good speaker. All of us. Then I'm at right place. So what makes a speech a good one? What makes it better? What makes it best? So there are a few ingredients which makes a speech a better one. It starts from construction of your speech. When you write your speech, to speaking and to deliver your message. So all these stages should be constructed properly. So first thing is organization. You have to organize your speech in a manner where each part of the speech should connect to each other. You must have one theme. Start with a theme. One theme. Don't try to put everything in one speech. It's not possible to put all your life story in 7 minutes. So just be specific. Try to speak about one theme. Divide it in 3 parts. You can divide in any parts, but basically if you divide at least in 3 parts, that will work. Introduction, body, and ending part. You can call it conclusion too. The intro, you tell the audience what you're going to speak. If you don't tell audience what you're going to speak, you are lost. Nobody will know what you're going to speak. First, you should tell what you are talking about. As I said, I'm going to talk to you about the ingredient of a speech. After listening to the speech, you will learn how to do a good speech. The second thing is know your audience. Before you speak, just try to find what the audience do. What's their level of knowledge? Where are they from? What's their age? What do they want? And what's their problem? Unless you know the audience, you can't deliver a good speech. Before I came to US, there was one workshop where one guy from US were delivering a speech where he was telling what to do in US. I was not an English speaker. He talked in heavy English accent, American accent. I didn't understand anything. Not even 10% of what he said. That was not a good speech. That didn't solve my problem. So try to solve the problem. Try to be one of the audience. And another third point, the important point is greet your audience and thank them. Thank them to listen to you. Thank them to coming here in this cold weather. Thank them and greet them, because that thanking them and the greeting will connect you immediately. People want to listen to your thanks. Another thing is use your body language. Body language doesn't mean you just walk here, there, here. If you are talking about monkey, okay, jump. If you are talking about something serious matter, just stand straight. You don't have to jump always. Just connect your speech with your body language. Change your voice, vocal. You just use vocal variety. If you want to emphasize something, just talk loud. If you are talking about some sensitive matter, be sensitive. Don't shout. Shouting will not always work. If you are talking about some emotional matter, just be prudent. That will work. The next and the fourth is practice your speech. Write it and practice it loud. Practice in front of mirror before you come to stage. Practice makes you perfect. Even you are a very good speaker, if you have given the speech for 100 times, but the 101st time you are giving your speech, the place will be different. Your audience may be different. So you always have to practice according to your audience, according to your place. And everything is changing, so the speech you given 10 days back will not be relevant today. So you must practice before you come to the audience. Because the public speaking is all about passion and emotion. It's about passion, commitment, and conviction. So always connect yourself to listeners. Because listeners will find a speaker, but it's hard to find good listeners. Always remember that. So what do you do? Organize your speech. What do you do next? Know your audience. Third one, use your body language and vocal variety. Fourth one, practice it again and again. Fifth one, I have not told you yet. That is the most important thing. Enjoy your speech. Unless you enjoy yourself, nobody gonna enjoy your speech. Be passionate. Enjoy it. Feel you are telling something and you are teaching something. People are there to learn from you. Teach them. Because you have a unique life experience nobody has. Your life is very different and you have different knowledge than anybody else. The value of your knowledge is precious. There is no value. It's precious. Nobody is comparable to you. You have a different knowledge. So keep practicing. Take all these points in mind. If you are a good speaker and you put all these ingredients in your speech, you will be better. If you are better and try this all, you will be best. Best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Jyoti. Now, please, using the evaluation forms that you have, please let's take 2 minutes and make some notes of evaluation for Jyoti Raj. All right, let's move on. I'd like to now introduce the next speaker and bring up the evaluator, Gene Symington Gregg, who will introduce the speaker and describe his objectives.
Go!
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Tonight we have a special treat. Will Burns is going to be presenting goal setting and what's the rest of this section?
Planning.
And planning. Goal setting and planning, which is a project from the Leadership Excellence series. Toastmasters is about both communication and leadership. The club presents, different members will present these modules, these presentations that are already prepared by Toastmasters, but put their own personal spin, stories, anecdotes, whatever, into the content so that we all can learn. So this is an educational program. The Leadership Excellence Series is a set of presentations addressing the subject of leadership. Presentations in the Leadership Excellence Series may be offered by any club member, including all of you, and are usually 10 to 15 minutes, with the intention of having members learn about the skills that they need to be successful leaders inside and outside of Toastmasters. Goal setting and planning enables that success by combining the leader's vision with the necessary action to achieve what is needed. Will break down this, I love that when we do that, break down this crucial element to long-term success while including his own experience and observations as well. With apologies to J.R.R. Tolkien, Will is going to help us to not wander too much. We're going to try to get some goals and establish a plan. Personally, Will Burns grew up in Fairfield, Iowa, deployed to Iraq while serving in the U.S. Army Reserve, and now works as an office manager here in town. Will joined Toastmasters, this Golden Speakers Club, 3 years ago, and has served as secretary and club president for the Golden Speakers Toastmasters. When not working or going to Toastmasters, he enjoys deep conversations about the underlying systems and paradigms at work in the world and how to utilize them for a bright, prosperous future. Please help me to warmly welcome Will Burns.
Yo!
Thank you, Jean, fellow Toastmasters, guests throughout the room, and viewers at home. I will be speaking on the Leadership Excellence Series, particularly goal setting and planning. I will define what a goal is, what a plan is, talk about the elements thereof, and give examples on the way. Now, if you have any questions at any time, feel free to raise your hand, and I'll get to you when I see you. The thing to bear in mind is that this is let's say this is the Leadership Excellence Series. This is a Toastmasters module. However, this applies throughout your life. You can apply it in Toastmasters. You can apply it in the rest of your life. Without further ado, hit it. What is a goal? The goal is a specific objective you're trying to accomplish. It says you and your team. Could be a team, could be you. Next. A plan is the blueprint for achieving those goals. So the goal is your vision. Your plan is your action to get there. Next. Okay, goals. You need to be specific. That means that you need to take a general idea and break it down to something tangible. Next. It has to be measurable. Next. Actionable, realistic, time-bounded, and finally oriented. Now, for example, let's say that I want to lose some weight. I want to be healthier. Assuming those two things are oriented. Okay. I could say, okay, I want to be healthier. That's maybe a good idea. Problem is, it's not specific. It's not measurable. It's kind of actionable, but really, what's that mean? I mean, be healthier. I mean, what am I going to do to be healthy? It's not really clear. Realistic. Depends what you think about my ability to stay with the program here. And it's not time-bounded. Nor is it oriented. Now, oriented is actually something specific that I kind of added to this. I'll get to that in a minute. If I said, I will take part in a program over 6 months to go to the gym 3 times a week, I will lose, my goal is to lose 15 pounds and to have a body mass index of 50%. Now, it's important that I, again, specific, measurable. I say, okay, it's over this period of time, and I'll know, because I'll get on the scale and I'll see, okay, I'm not there yet. And 3 months out, I need to be moving along. The reason it's important to have it be realistic is that you could say, well, I want to be wealthy tomorrow. Huh. Good luck. Best fortune to you. But I'm sorry, getting back to the health thing here, if I want to have a body mass index of, say, 1%, that's not very realistic. Now, oriented is something else that I added down here at the bottom. This is something that, kind of my own take, I think is important to take in here, because it's important throughout this whole process that you actually orient and say, do I actually want to do this? Do I actually want to go to the trouble of eating healthy? Do I want to actually go to the trouble of going to the gym? Do I actually want to go to all this trouble? Is it actually worth it to me? And that's a personal decision that I have to make, whether it's my fitness, whether it's involving a team plan. Next slide. Okay. It's important whenever you're having goals that you implement involvement with your team. This actually builds buy-in. It's builds engagement. Next slide. The reason we write each goal is to provide that, to go back to making it tangible. Next slide. Okay, here you're basically just going to consider, this ties back to the first two. Next slide. This is where you would orient at this point. You orient to your goal, and you're going back. Next slide. Okay, when you're in the planning process, what we're doing here is we're actually acting to reinforce those elements. Next slide. What planning does is it forces me to look forward. It forces me to look at what's going to happen and how I can implement it. Next slide. Okay, this basically enables communication between members of the team. So when you're planning, it's important. When I was in the military, we'd always have an initial meeting where we'd start with just a very core group, and then we start the necessary actions and movements out there to act. But you need to make it very clear what you expect and coordinate. Next slide. Finally, this ensures by having an accurate plan, you have efficient use of your resources. This does two things. One, it reduces the amount of stress on your team by the loss. If you're wasteful in your resources, your team starts to doubt your abilities as a leader, starts to doubt, and you don't achieve your goals in a timely manner. Next slide. Okay, first thing you do is you establish strategies in place. Now, a strategy, in a sense, is a very general thing. It can be something as simple as just, we need to make sure that we're ready for the DCP goals that are coming up here, and we need to execute that. We need to have our members need to be ready here. We need to have our education department here. We need to have our action team behind it. Next slide. we participate? When we participate, it actually creates possibilities, because there's things the team can bring out that I won't necessarily see, but maybe Gene will see it, or Scott will see it. So what it does is it creates this element of collaboration. Next slide. Okay, in Toastmasters we have what's called the Distinguished Club Program. We establish goals, and we basically move through with the plan to execute. Now, the DCP is very helpful because we have 10 goals to achieve. Some of them are very simple. Submitting the members' rosters in, very simple. Some are very complicated, which is in terms of scheduling speeches. Our own VP of Education has a Herculean task here of making sure that everybody's scheduled. Now, one of the things that we do here, as a practical exercise in the plan, is by having a plan of, okay, these are our goals. We need to have two advanced communicator people. So basically, we need to have 2 people that give advanced speeches. It's important that we schedule these speeches because these are given in modules. So we know, okay, these people have to do 4 speeches from this advanced manual. We need 2 people to do that. We need to schedule Jean to do speeches in January, February, and then she's busy. It's important that we, in March, that we orient, say, okay, well, wait a minute, Jean's going to be able to do her first 2 speeches, first 2 months, but then all of a sudden she's going to be gone. She's going to be traveling. We need to basically have a plan in place to cover that and pick her up there at the end. Next. The power of the DCP goals is that they're specific. Goals are, you must have 4 members, and then 2 times. So you must have 4 members to finish one goal, and 4 members to finish a second goal. They're measurable. I know if I have 3 members, I didn't meet my goal. And that if I have 6 months to do this in, and I've gotten 2 members, and then I'm halfway there, but that's not a reason for me to stop to just put in half a month's effort. If I have a 6 month time frame, 3 months in, I have no members join, I got a problem. I need to rethink about what I'm doing here and execute something different. Actionable? Yes. Back up one. Realistic? A lot more realistic with this club than a lot of other clubs. In terms of executing that goal. And again, time bounded. Measurable and time bounded here are somewhat similar in this case because you can kind of measure as much as time. The importance of time is that it gives you a deadline so that you actually take action within a certain limit and don't just say, well, this is what I want to have happen, and then you just kind of drift and drift and drift. Next slide. Oh yeah, and this oriented basically just means are we actually, this is a very key question. I'll actually back it up here just for the DCP. Are we meeting the goals of our members? The DCP is a great program because it keeps us focused. But is it worth it? I'm going to ask the members here, is it worth it to us if we stop being a mutually supportive, positive environment in service of those goals? Now, I'm not saying that that's what happens by any means. I think it's actually the exact opposite. It acts as a tool of empowerment. But that it's important that we ask that question. Next slide. So goal setting, setting a goal, planning to achieve it, but then always looking back, orienting. And saying, is this actually what we want to achieve? We have success. Ourselves and our leadership. Thank you.
Now please, take 2 minutes and use a written evaluation form and offer some evaluation notes. All right, Toastmasters, to get your bearings in where we are now, we have arrived at the third section of our meeting, which is the evaluation section. Before we do that, let's, Mr. Timer, do both of our prepared speakers qualify?
No, we have one qualifier, that was Jyoti Raj.
Okay. Then the voting will be very simple for the best speaker of the evening. And we can move on to the evaluation section conducted by Karen Aoki.
Go.
Okay, now this is the evaluation section of the meeting. I'm going to call up Surya Z to evaluate our first speaker of the night.
Uh-oh. Whew. Well, yes, my name is Surya, and I'm evaluating Jyoti Raj's speech. His project was number 4 in the Competent Communicative Manual, and it was how to say it. And his topic was ingredients of a good speech. Jyoti structured his presentation well. It was very clear. I mean, he obviously wanted to demonstrate these good points, and so he started out nicely with a good introduction, and then continued with a good body, and ended with a good conclusion. He brought in other very good elements and demonstrated them well, like the voice range. I don't know if you call that voice range.
Vocal variety.
Vocal variety, thank you. Like with the, if you want something to come across as sensitive, something along those lines. Now for I guess elements that he could have also brought in, one that I've noticed and I'm trying to also incorporate in my speeches is when I talk about certain points, I plan basically when I make a point that I talk to a certain person and stay with that, talk to that person about that point, and then change perhaps to another point. And you could have demonstrated that a little bit more, I think. Now with regards to the goals of this this project, first it asked whether the topic was appropriate. I personally feel that it was to a degree, but it also was supposed to bring in some very vivid and language that strong communicates a good selection of words. And so that could have, I think, I don't know if it fits entirely well for that. But you did use very simple, straightforward words. You also didn't use many words that were confusing. It was very clear what you were trying to say and communicating. That was good. I didn't notice you using rhetorical devices, and there were some grammar mistakes, but since this is my first time evaluating, I forgot those. I apologize for that. Let's see. Okay. and also your sentence structure was good. That was another point. You know, you want when you give a speech, you want to use a sentence structure that's mostly has simple short sentences, but every once in a while bring in some longer sentences, you know, to give some variety, but generally to make it easier, understandable, and make it, you know, bring as many short sentences and fewer long sentences. And that's it from me. Thank you for this.
Okay, now I'll call up Jean Simon-Fred to evaluate our second speaker, Wilbur.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, all of our Toastmasters and guests and viewers at home. I'm going to use the evaluation criteria for Will, for this project. And honestly, I've never evaluated this project before, so thank you for that opportunity, Will. How effective was the speaker's introduction in helping the audience understand the purpose of the Leadership Excellence Series and the presentation itself? I thought it really set you up. It told you what we were going to be doing, just like Diane said. This is what we're going to be talking about, and then he was going to fulfill on that. Was the speaker adequately prepared? How well did the presenter rely on notes or the outline itself? Here's where I'd say I'm going to emphasize practice. Someone else said practice. I think it was Jyoti Raj. I would say that the presentation started strong. He got into it, and then it seemed to, in my viewing, seemed to get a little bit more almost like he was reading it a bit for the first time or becoming familiar with it the first time, sort of, which I think could really be simply eliminated with some practice, some extra practice. How well did the speaker use vocal variety to enhance his presentation? I thought he had very good volume. Did everyone hear it in the back of the room? Yep. Will projected, and that was really good. Every now and then, he got a little bit fast, and he tended to talk into his neck, and I'd miss that. So try not to do that. But in general, I said that was very well done. What other techniques did the speaker use to personalize and augment the presentation? Were they effective? How? I liked his getting healthy example at the beginning. He talked about the military. We also know that's part of his background. We learned that from the introduction. This project is about practice to make this content, which we haven't had to create, make it smooth and accessible to the audience, and then also bring in personal examples to help explain the concepts. So that's, I think, was the key for Will to be working on. And so he did introduce some examples. Did the speaker display the visuals smoothly and appropriately? How could the speaker improve? Again, I think this is a practice thing. I would see Will doing this in a month's time, having had some practice and being very smooth and effortless. What aspect of the presentation style did I find unique? I love the healthy example, getting started, trying to show how, if you have a goal, and how do you make that really something that's going to last over time. What could the speaker have done differently to make the presentation more effective? Well, I've mentioned the practice. I think the practice would help with the transitions. And I also think that the examples could be thought through a little bit more, because there were two opportunities for examples, goals and also planning, and there were bullet points. So think of an example that you could then reel off how your example met all those different bullet points comfortably. Also acronyms, DCP, VP of Ed. We don't have a lot of people that know what that is, but that would be something else to say. Love the weight loss example. This is me finishing. But Will, don't do it. You're fine.
Okay, so now I will be evaluating the evaluators. This will be your opportunity to...
Not yet.
What do we have next?
Vote.
Oh, now we vote on the best evaluator. Before I do that,
Do they qualify?
do they qualify?
They all qualified. Diane, Surya, Jean.
Okay. Get the names. Now we'll hear from our role players who will give the reports of the meeting, starting with our timer, Dan Craig.
Yay, Dan. Yay!
For table topics, we had Nelson, 2 minutes 19, Veda, 2 minutes 42, Luis, 2 minutes and 1 second, John, 2 minutes and 2 seconds. Our prepared speeches, Jyoti Raj was completed in 6 minutes 40 seconds, Will's went 12 minutes 41 seconds. Evaluators, Diane was 3 minutes 22 seconds, Surya 3 minutes 13 seconds, Jean 3 minutes 29 seconds.
Ah!
And now, from our grammarian, Stephanie Chambers.
Okay, so tons of people who use the word bearing. I'm sorry if I missed anyone, but Veda used it once, Luis used it once, John used it once. So it's an equal tie. two people. And in terms of uses of English, they're just good expressions, things that stuck in my mind. I liked Nelson, you said there wasn't much nature in the Bronx.
Yeah.
Veda, they didn't have the spirit that we have in Fairfield, Iowa. John was talking about something that becomes comforting. That's what I like it the opposite. And Jody, if you talk about a monkey, okay, jump.
Thank you. Now for Scott Terry, our awe counter.
Sorry, I'm going to go through everybody in a moment. But again, these are just to try and get yourself more in alignment with who you want to be. This is not a negative, this is not criticism, this is just looking at things. Oh, Surya! Nice hat. So we had a few ums, 5 of them alike, you know, a so, 3 ands, a tongue click, 4 Xerox, and 3 false starts. You tried to get the gamut, that's all. Go on. Nelson, 1 1 and, Veda, 2 ahs, a so, an and, Luis, 1 so, an and, a tongue click, and a false start, John, 2 so's, an and, Dan was clean, Art was clean, Jyoti was almost clean, just had 1 and, Jean had 1 2 tongue clicks, and a false start. Will had 3 ahs, a but, and some breathing sounds. Sort of like what
That's good.
Yes, gotta go. 5 tongue clicks. Again, we might need some water in here. Gotta go. So I will answer things later. Karen 1 and so and we're done. Thank you.
And now for our joke master, Ed Hip.
All right.
Greetings, fellow Toastmasters, guests, folks at home, and fellow Hy-Vee shoppers. I did some research on Hy-Vee, and I picked up a Hy-Vee magazine. Yes, there is a Hy-Vee magazine. They're running an article on technology this month, just like Toastmasters magazine. They have an interesting article in here about the Iowa Toastmasters clubs. A great many of them are located in Hy-Vee Club Room, just like ours now. And there's a concern amongst the managers. Many of them are noticing that there's a extraneous filler word contamination showing up in some of the bulk bins. Specifically, some Campbell's alphabet soups have to be recalled due to ahs and ums showing up amongst the various letters of the alphabet. Those of you who are old timers remember that at one time the motto on TV was "Shop Hy-Vee, where there's a helpful smile in every aisle." Right?
Yes.
Somebody's old enough to remember that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it turns out the original that they crafted before their evaluator got a hold of it was "Shop Hy-Vee, where there's a helpful smile, good eye contact, and pleasing vocal variety in every aisle." It was deemed to be too long. Finally, I'm going to share with you their mission statement that's printed here in every copy of the magazine. The mission of Hy-Vee is to provide a nutritionally supportive and delicious eating environment in which every individual has the opportunity to digest oral nourishment and pharmacy pills, which in turn foster shelf abundance and physical growth. Let's hear it for our new partner. So I believe I've been told that I have something here for me. The management was going to bring something to me.
Here, Ed.
Thank you.
Pizza and
Yeah. It is a root beer. I asked for real beer, and I asked
Just
you
stay
to
in the
talk to
same
the manager and get anchovies on the pizza. So help me, Rhonda. Help me, Rhonda. I have to go. My wife told me to pick up some eggs on the way home.
Okay, now I will evaluate the evaluators. So this is what I observed, and hopefully it'll give you some ideas for how to do your evaluations when it's your turn. So we had two very experienced evaluators. We had Diane and Jean Pennington-Craig, and both of them were very good at giving recommendations according to the level of the speaker. For example, Diane took into account that we had newer speakers, and so she gave encouragement according to where they were. Whereas for the more advanced speakers, she moved into how to use gestures, which is a little more advanced skill. So that's the example of giving appropriate recommendations according to the level of the speaker. So yeah, this is one of your first evaluations? This is the first one, so congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
You've stepped up in the ranks at Toastmasters. So you followed, this is a good strategy, use the objectives in the manual to evaluate the speech. So you went point by point. And that's just gives us a great structure so we can follow you easily. And I would just say that one of the things I observed is that you do need to listen a little more, because I think there were rhetorical devices that you used. And you caught that too, that you kind of caught everything. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. This evaluation role is for developing our listening ability. So that will just develop naturally over time when you do this. That's what I have to offer for tonight.
How about Jean?
Oh, Jean, okay. Jean gave great examples, and she brought out a point that needed to be developed or improved, and then she gave specific examples of how to improve the structure. So, for example, she mentioned that Will had a great PowerPoint presentation, and that he needed to give his example in a much more thought out manner, so it matched the PowerPoint. So that's a very specific example. So she not only brought out something to improve, but she told him how he could improve the next time he gave his speech. So that's Jean. And back for Toastmasters.
Thank you, Karen. And now for the dessert portion of our meeting. Awards!
Yay! Jump up and down.
So this is a nice live room, so you may be able to make a drum roll so that we can, for our best evaluator of the evening, Jean. Our best speaker of the evening,
Drum roll.
drum roll, Jody Raj. Good job.
Yes.
Drum roll for our best table topic speaker, John. There you are. This is yours to keep and display for a week.
1 week, all right.
And then to return.
Thank
you. Judge Raj, once again, for speech number 4, please come to That concludes my duties for the evening. I'd like to welcome back to the lectern our president for closing the meeting.
Thank you, Art, for helping us stay on time, and thanks to everyone who also took part and watched their time. One of the least favorite things we have to do is to cut the joke master. Now, I would like to offer our guests an opportunity to address the club, and if anyone is willing to stand up and say something that they liked about the evening, that is welcome. Is there anyone who would like to speak who is a guest tonight? Veda?
So I thoroughly enjoyed the evening, as I said in my impromptu speech. It seems like every time this club has made a move, it's grown, just like a person grows, and I'm really looking more. Maybe I'll participate more and look forward to a new year. You can try to sign me up.
My name is Beth Alonso. I'm a member of the Fairfield Rotary Club, and I'm the chairperson of the Interact and Rotaract Club. So I brought a few interactors with me today. We in Interact, which is Rotary for high school students, we're focusing on public speaking right now. That's one of our things between our volunteer projects. That's one of the things we're focusing on. So I thought it would be a really great experience to come visit Toastmasters here at Fairfield, and we're glad that you moved to this beautiful new space. And, it was very interesting. I really enjoyed the whole experience, seeing how you do it. I try to go online and try to find some tips how to use some of the speaking points for our group, but this was a whole other experience, and I hope to be more involved in the future.
I'm Annette, and I've been coming since sometime in December, I think, maybe November. I've been involved in speaking all my life and never have been a member of Toastmasters, so I decided to check it out. And tonight, I'm going to join.
Like Beth, is that your name, Beth?
Annette.
Annette, sorry. I am also very impressed and would also like to join. It's my one hesitation before this evening was those, for me, extremely uncomfortable chairs in the church. These I love.
Yeah.
This is really a step in the right direction.
At this point, I would like to give our guests the opportunity to depart, because we're going to have a short business meeting tonight concerning our contest, which is next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, we are having our table topics contest and a segment also with international speeches. So thank you all for coming. It's been wonderful to have your presence here. We do hope to see you again. Keep coming. Come to the contest if you like. Okay, we're going to have our business meeting now. Let's have the members come up and sit up front. Our business meeting is about to start. Members, please come up front. We have some important information we need to share with you tonight. Okay, we need some members up front here. We've got some important details for you tonight concerning the contest next week. We actually need to have someone step forward to be an international speaker next week, because the two speakers we had are actually not going to be able to participate. So I was wondering if our jokester would like to do an international speech next week, but
I will consider it, thank you.
thank you.
Point of order.
Point of order?
The club can appoint someone. They do not have to be a contest. If we find a volunteer, the club may appoint a volunteer. Does not have to go on to the area. We do not have to have a contest.
Okay. Good. Good to know. All right. Well, that takes care of that one.
So,
Now, I would like to introduce the chair for the contest. Karen.
Well, it's my first time here, so I'm going to need a lot of support. So all of you who are used to it, please help me out. I guess we're still looking for people to fulfill roles. We need timers. And is this the time to get names for that?
Yep.
Does that work?
2 timers.
2 timers, okay.
A 2-timer.
Two-timer.
I can be a timer if you have enough judges already.
Okay,
Or
let's
can
see
be a
what I have.
timer either way.
Thank God we have internet here. So, we're still needing 2 more judges.
Yeah, I'm chief judge.
Yeah, we have that.
Yeah.
We have Jean, Art, and Stephanie as judges, so we need 2 more. Okay.
Am I a judge? I thought I was going in the table topics, so I can't be a judge.
Oh, all right.
Well, you could be sort of, there's 2 things, right? So you can be a judge for the speech, which might not happen, and
Yes, and then you can't be a judge at table.
So you're a judge. Did she say that?
No, no.
Karen, I think Cindy's a judge.
Oh, all right.
Cindy and I are both judges.
Diane can be a judge.
So Rhonda says to distinguish between the international and the other one?
Table topics.
Table
There
topics.
are 2 different segments to the contest. And we need judges.
Do you know what which one you want to volunteer for?
I can do both.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can do
It'd
both.
probably be prudent to do both for everybody unless if somebody wants to do only one or the other.
And you too, Tom?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have Diane, Jean, Tom, who are willing to be judges for both the international speech and the table topics. Okay. Timer.
I can do the timer.
Okay. Do you want to be the main one or the assistant? Did you say you're a timer too?
She's a judge.
I'm a judge. Yeah, in both contests. You can be the main.
I'll be the main one.
That's good.
The chief timer.
It's good to have
The
a
chief
The
timer.
boss
Point of
timer.
Okay.
Cindy is the table topics contestant, is that correct?
Unless you need judges more, so then I can bow out.
I think we're set on judges now. Because we have Jean, Art, Stephanie, Diane, and Tom.
Stephanie's only doing one, right, Stephanie?
Yeah.
Okay, so we will need Cindy as a judge.
But they're both at the same, they both want to do
Tabletop, so you need
So I can be a judge.
in
Better off
tabletop.
to have-
In table topics.
You can do both.
Excuse me, point of order. There's no international contest in our club.
Right.
So we only need judges for the table topics. So anybody who has already said they want to do a table topic speech shouldn't have to give up their position to be a judge.
Unless
It
we
can't
get
be a
some
judge.
speakers by next week.
Pardon?
Unless we get speakers by next week.
We won't, it's too late.
Oh,
I really doubt it.
That'd be kind of a,
yeah, I would have done that, but I need to be a judge, so.
You would have done international speeches?
Yeah, but I can't, because I
Correct.
need to.
Okay,
get
so
my-
that's, table that.
basically we just have table topics. Yeah.
You have the youngest judge?
Yes. I already have Jean, Art down as judges for the table topics. With
We're only going to
Jean
do
judges.
table topics, so let's just talk about
So I think we're
that.
fine. So now the timers
So
are
we could have one
set.
tabletop.
So,
No?
so who are the judges for the table topics, Karen?
Chief judge is Scott, and then the table topics judge is Diane, Jean, Tom, Dan,
Art.
and Art.
That's probably plenty.
Okay. And the chief timer is Surya. Assistant.
Yes. All right, Monty. It's
Timer
a
two.
check, it's a double check.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
This is just 2 times. But you're the chief rep.
And then sergeant at arms, we have Diane, but we need one more.
Oh, I should
Did you know that you were that? You
Didn't know that.
We better pull you out of judge.
You can't do judging, you can do something else.
Whatever you need,
Okay.
you know, that's really.
Well, we still need more people then.
How many contestants do we
The contestants, Will, Cindy, Steve, and Jeff, unless Cindy needs to move to another.
And me.
No, Cindy needs to compete.
Okay.
Okay. Will, Cindy, who?
Jeff.
Steve and Jeff.
Steve, Jeff.
Harper.
Steven.
And me,
Yeah.
That's, okay.
Diane, did you were, excuse me, point of order. You were sergeant at arms last contest, and I'm willing to do that if you would like to participate as a table topics contestant.
No, I'm not interested in being a contestant, but I'm happy to help with either being a judge or sergeant at arms, whatever you need.
And I'll be a ballot counter.
You'll be back. Okay, we need one more ballot counter.
Recruit whoever shows up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get voluntold. You.
I think we're,
It's good.
I think we're set now. Which means we'll, actually, we should probably need another judge. We should keep Diana as the sergeant at arms because there's nobody.
She can do both.
Do what?
No, not really. That won't work.
One more judge.
I'll be a judge.
Can you do both?
She can be sergeant of arms and the ballot counter both. They don't conflict.
Okay.
That would be better.
Do judges have to have done some number of speeches?
Yeah, isn't there
What are the requirements for that?
Could look it up.
No, we're not doing it.
You're not doing internet, we're only doing.
Oh, probably.
Probably not.
Is there a requirement for how many speeches?
So you're
Just
sergeant at
an
arms and ballot counter?
Yeah.
Judges,
Is there any requirement for judges?
I think they have 3.
3, I think. Gets worse at the area, so right now.
I think we're good.
Where we sit on the judges? 1, 2, 3, 4.
You're the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
We need 5 total.
5 plus.
5 plus, we just get
That's what the rules say. 5 judges.
So we
plus.
have
One more.
Do we have, so who are the judges right now?
Jean, Tom, Dan, Art. We need one more. And then
Diane, you're not?
What
I
happened
am.
to me?
you're
Diane
the
is.
you're the SAA.
Oh, I am the.
No, she's the
No,
SAA.
no.
She's the assistant SAA.
No,
No,
she's
no,
the
there's
SAA.
only
There's only
one.
one.
Oh, okay.
Diane's a judge.
Diane's a judge.
There's 2 sergeant at arms.
No, you don't need
that. We
to.
don't
One's
need that.
fine. No, sorry.
Then we're fine.
Okay.
As long as we only need one SAA, we're fine.
Yep, one of them.
Anything else
I'll
for
be
now?
an SSA.
All right.
Do we need to know like
Room set up. We need some people to come. There won't be much set up, but there will be
Okay.
some.
So what time would you like people here then, early birds?
Yeah, we gotta get here in time to do the briefing of the judges.
6:45 is what I suggested.
Well, how many,
Or-
we're only gonna have 4 speakers, table
Room
topics?
set up.
yeah.
Yeah, but 4 speakers, table topics is max 12 minutes. That's your whole meeting, is 12 minutes.
Right.
So the meeting's not going to start at 7:25, is that correct? I just told the people that left it starts at 7:45.
7:45.
Wow, okay.
You only got 12 minutes of table topics, that's it.
Okay, so start at 7:45 like usual?
Okay.
And the setup people come at?
7:15, 7:30. 7:30.
All right, when is the judge orientation?
7:30.
That doesn't give us enough
It
time.
should be sooner.
It does because
We need half an hour.
Okay,
Yeah.
7:15.
You want to do half of it, that is true.
I'm creating the schedule right now.
But I don't know, Scott hasn't done it before.
But Art and Cindy both have.
Yes, Art.
No, I have
So
to.
they- it's gonna have
He'll
two
pick it
members.
up.
I know, but
I
we
think
wanted
every
to,
judge
we
does.
wanted to work it a little bit.
The
I can come help set up.
Good.
Thank
At
you,
7,
Diane.
are you?
too. I'll be here too.
Yep,
Okay.
we'll be all be here.
At 7.
Yeah, room set up at
At
7. Okay.
Cindy's gonna.
Yeah.
In the past, we've had a lot more other rooms. My question is, we have somewhere the table topics contestants will have to be kind
The
of
hallway.
sequestered.
Yeah.
Oh, the hallway out here.
We've already figured that out, right?
Or the refrigerator,
Well
just
done.
shove them in there, you know.
Oh, I'm in the bedroom, right?
No, refrigerator, keep it cool.
The hallway
Sequester will
probably
be in
is.
the hallway by the coat room.
Okay.
Surya?
I gave a friend a ride this evening as a guest, and he's waiting outside.
Oh, you want to go?
Is there anything else I need
Just
to
refreshments.
Just tell him to go shop.
And I did already.
Okay.
Refreshment.
The only thing is
He
refreshments.
doesn't have money with him, so.
Okay. All right.
We can send it out now.
Thank you.
Okay. So we'll send an email about refreshments and have everybody sign up.
Yep, bring
Okay.
something.
Okay.
I guess it'll be a short
There's
meeting.
no place that
Why would we do it?
find food.
They will allow us to bring stuff in here if we want to. We don't, and we can talk about it.
When do judges need to arrive?
All right.
7:50.
Okay, so judges come at 7:15.
So you have plenty of time.
All right, yeah.